Hey y'all, welcome back to Most of It. Recently, some of my friends have been getting into Warhammer, and so I've been giving them the rundown of the basics. And obviously, one of the first steps to getting into 40k is choosing your favorite faction. But as I was walking them through the factions, I realized that I haven't made a video summarizing each one for beginners, and so I'm going to rectify that today. Here, I'll be explaining each faction currently playable on the tabletop from both a lore perspective, and also talking about their model range and going into some detail about their playstyles. I won't be going into too much depth about the army's rules because, well, they change a lot, so when you're new, you don't really need to worry about them. But with all that said, let's get into this, starting with Space Marines, the Angels of Death. If you're interested in 40k, odds are you know about Space Marines. They're the poster boys of the franchise, and that's for good reason. These bioengineered super soldiers are made from the gene seed of the Emperor's sons, the Primarchs, with each one of them being a force of nature. Standing 8 to 9 feet tall and being strong enough to wear literal tons of armor and still sprint around 50 miles an hour, they are the Imperium's main bulwark against the darkness. Space Marines have access to the widest range of toys, with the most amount of variety when it comes to stuff like weapons, armor, and vehicles. Want to have your guys be walking tanks? Terminators. Want to have them jump straight into the middle of things and hash it out? Jump packs. Want to have them soar above the battlefield and shoot everyone? Bam, gunships. I could go on, but you get my point. No matter what you like, odds are the Space Marines have something to offer you, and a lot of that is thanks to their subdivisions called chapters. Currently on the tabletop, there are 11 official different Space Marine chapters to play, each with varying models and playstyles, and they are Black Templars. Zealous warriors fighting in the name of their god emperor, they battle with fury as they kill any that oppose their master. To see the Black Templars fight is to see faith made manifest, as they are blessed by the emperor's gifts. But they're no choir boys. One of the most vicious Space Marine chapters, they even go so far as to chain their weapons to their arms so that they may only release them in victory or not at all. Boasting some really neat custom models with a big Crusader theme going on and a playstyle that focuses on charging in and duking it out melee style, the Black Templars truly understand the hellish world they live in and embrace it to the fullest degree as they push onward in their everlasting crusade to purge all that oppose the Emperor. Blood Angels, the cursed sons of Sanguinius. These Marines are bloodthirsty whirlwinds of violence. Literally, they drink blood. Their Primarch Sanguinius unfortunately left them with a couple mutations, including the Red Thirst, which compels them to drink blood, and the Black Rage, which hails from when their father was killed at the hands of the arch-traitor himself. Should a Blood Angel lose himself in battle, the Black Rage can take over, causing them to see everyone around them as their father's murderer, as they let loose their fury on friend and foe alike until they meet their end. The Blood Angels playstyle has a huge focus on melee combat, and they boast a pretty cool vampire aesthetic, making them some of the most unique Space Marine models on the table. Dark Angels, the first Space Marine chapter. These guys are secretive knights that have access to some of the most deadly weapons of the Imperium. Don't try to hide anything from them because they love their interrogations and you do not want to be on the other side of a Space Marine interrogator. Boasting one of the most unique structures among the chapters, the Dark Angels have several wings, with each specializing in certain styles of combat. But overall, their playstyle has a good mix of melee and good long-range combat, and they have some really nice models. They are also one of 2 Loyalist chapters to have their Primarch return in the form of Lionel Johnson, with a gorgeous model that's sure to strike fear into the hearts of any that oppose him. Deathwatch, the Alien Hunters. This chapter is actually made up of Marines from other chapters, with each paying a tithe of service. As I said, they are the Alien Hunters, specializing in wiping out the Xenos wherever they're found. Their playstyle, as with their structure, is varied, with them being good at most things, but not great at anything. And all their models are essentially just slightly retooled Space Marine ones. Imperial Fists, the Praetorian Guard. The most stalwart of the chapters, the Imperial Fists love to fortify. Their strongholds are works of art in both form and function, and they are some of the toughest Marines out there. Their playstyle, as their lore suggests, has them utilizing defense much more than their brothers, as they tank hits and pick off their foes with well-placed, disciplined fire. Iron Hands, the Bionic Specialists. As their name suggests, the Iron Hands like metal, a lot. They like it so much that they replace a good amount of their bodies with it, as they seek to replace the weakness of flesh with the perfect strength of technology. Since the death of their Primarch, Ferrus Manus, they have kind of lost their way, with them delving too far into augmentations and many losing their souls in the process. Their playstyle has a big focus on offense, with armored gun lines burning down their enemies with volleys of bolt fire, and so far they only have a couple unique models, but they do look pretty nice. Raven Guard, the stealth specialist of the Space Marines. The Raven Guard love guerrilla warfare and long-range combat. Don't get on their bad side, because you may just find yourself getting domed by a sniper that you didn't even know was on the same planet as you. Their playstyle has a big focus on surgical hit-and-run style strikes, and they make large use of scouts and snipers, and as with the Iron Hands, they only have a couple unique models, but they also do look pretty nice. Salamanders, the Pyrotechnics Division. The Salamanders like fire a lot, but not just in the burn people alive way, they are also really great blacksmiths, with them forging masterful weaponry and armor. Despite their intimidating appearance, the Salamanders are by far the kindest of the Space Marines, with a large focus on protecting the innocent, with many giving their lives for such a cause. Their playstyle has a big focus on, obviously, flame weapons, as they run in, tank whatever attacks them, and then just absolutely melt their enemies alive. And as with the Raven Guard and Iron Hands, they don't have a lot of unique models, but say it with me now, what they have look pretty nice. Space Wolves, the Warriors of Fenris. The Space Wolves are one of the most straightforward chapters, as they are Viking Space Marines. Bearing the title of the Emperor's Executioners, the Wolves of Fenris are some of the most deadly warriors the Imperium has to offer. Fiercely loyal to the Emperor, they hunt down his foes in great sagas that will one day be sung about in the great halls. They bow to no authority except that of the Emperor himself, and have even on occasion attacked other groups in the Imperium when they don't agree with their actions. Their playstyle has a large focus on melee, with axes and shields and cavalry in the background shooting their enemies. And they also have a good range of chapter-unique models, all with a really strong Viking wolf theme going on. Ultramarines, the poster boys of 40K. If you've seen a Space Marine, odds are it was an Ultramarine. The Blue Boys are the main reason the Imperium's still running, as they specialize in organized warfare and keeping supply and communication lines open. They also have a return Primarch, with Lord Regent Rubute Gilliman doing his best to put the bloated, decaying empire that is the Imperium back together again. Their playstyle is very balanced, with no strong focus in any direction, as the Ultramarines are very effective masters of none, essentially. They have a couple unique models, but their range is mostly just the Space Marine range, if that makes sense. White Scars, the Speed Freaks. The White Scars are warriors that like to go fast. Often called the Laughing Killers, they ride into battle with a smile on their face as they partake in the combat that they so love to do. They have a big focus on jet bikes and speeders, and their playstyle uses rapid insertion and lightning-fast hit-and-run strikes as they speed around looking for their next opponent. They only have a couple unique models, as with a lot of the other chapters, but again, they look really nice. So those are all of the officially playable chapters on the tabletop, but with the Space Marines you can also choose from the plethora of successor chapters that exist, or heck, even make up your own. Overall, the Space Marines have a lot of freedom and variety in how you play them, but that's enough for them. Let's move on to Imperial Guard, the backbone of the Imperial war machine. By far the largest fighting force of the Imperial Guard are present in large numbers at pretty much every battle in the galaxy. The battle doctrine of the Guard reckons that quantity is a great quality, and so they drown their enemies in both bodies and artillery fire. In a world of bio-enhanced super soldiers and aliens that don't think twice about normal people, that's exactly what the Guard are. Normal people given flak armor and told to go kill whatever's on the agenda for that day. And yet, they do it. With their ranks numbering in potentially the quadrillions, the Imperial Guard is the embodiment of the indomitable human spirit, as their tanks pour onto the battlefield screaming praises to the Emperor. Their playstyle, as their lore suggests, has a big focus on infantry, tanks, and artillery, with a large amount of models. Because a lasgun may not be anything to a Space Marine, but try having a million fired at you and you will change your tune pretty fast. Their models are also very, real military inspired, so if you like other war games that are based in, World War II, you'll probably like the Guard. Sisters of Battle, the Ecclesiarchy's military. The Sisters of Battle, also known as the Adeptus Sororitas, are a force comprised only of women, as you could probably tell by the name, and they are one of the most religious and zealotous groups in the setting. A lot of people call them nuns with guns, and honestly, it's pretty accurate. Just like with the Guard, they are just normal people given power armor and weapons, and they fight in the name of the Emperor. They have a really interesting origin, with the head of the Imperium's church essentially manipulating a group of women into being his bodyguards and, assistants until the truth was discovered and he got executed. The Sisters have some of the most unique vehicles in the setting, including a pipe organ missile launcher and orbital drop churches. They also utilize penitent engines, which essentially serve as a method of redemption, as a heretic is strapped into a mech suit with their body exposed, and they fight until they die in order to earn the Emperor's forgiveness. But even without all their fancy vehicles and weapons, the Sisters are still known to work miracles on the battlefield, with the Emperor often giving them a metaphorical helping hand. The Sisters' playstyle has a big focus on trading models, with a lot of glass cannons that may not last long on the board, but they'll do a heck of a lot of damage in the meantime. They also are pretty unique with their focus on blessings and miracles, and one of their models is literally an undead Imperial Saint. Imperial Agents. Forget playing as the foot soldiers, what if you want to play as the guys in charge? Well, the Imperial Agents may be for you, as with these guys you can play as members of the Inquisition and essentially bring together a bunch of models from all across the Imperium to battle. Sniff out and snuff out heresy wherever you may find it, and use assassins to quietly take out targets in the dead of the night. The agent's playstyle focuses on precision and strategy, as you use specific units to hold objectives rather than just murdering everything on the board. As far as models go, they do have some unique ones, but like I said earlier, they bring in a lot of models from across the Imperium, so you will be fighting with mostly pre-existing stuff. Custodes, the Emperor's bodyguards. The Adeptus Custodes are the most elite fighting force of the Imperium, with each being a marvel of gene engineering. Standing guard over their decaying master for centuries at a time, the Custodes are rarely deployed to battle, but when they are, man, get out of their way because something's about to die. They are so powerful that you rarely need more than one or two to handle something, but they do have a weakness to psychic-based attacks. For this reason, they ally themselves with the Sisters of Silence, a group of psychic blanks that are able to make the warp inaccessible to anyone around them. Their playstyle and elite skills mean that you will most likely always be outnumbered, but rarely outgunned, as every attack you do hits like a truck. You just may not have a lot of attacks going on at any given time. Their models are also pretty good looking, with a strong theme present throughout and a lot of nice gold colors to them. Grey Knights, the demon hunters of the Imperium. These guys are the most elite Space Marines out there, with each one being a potent psyker. Trained harshly and given the best armor, they hunt all kinds of warp beings and deliver them screaming back from whence they came. They are a secret organization, and if you ever see one of them, no you didn't, they are known for using liquidation to wipe out battlefields of both friend and foe in order to keep themselves a secret, so keep your mouth shut. As with the Custodes, they are so elite that you will often be outnumbered, but with their playstyle focusing on psychic shenanigans and precision strikes, few will be able to best you. Their model range is a little outdated, but still really good, with a lot of really detailed Space Marines to paint. Adeptus Mechanicus, the Forges of the Imperium. Hailing from Mars, the Adeptus Mechanicus are the manufacturer of pretty much everything the Imperium uses. They make weapons and armor and vehicles and outfit pretty much everyone, but they do tend to keep the really cool stuff to themselves. They believe that the flesh is weak and that you should remove as much of it as possible and replace it with technology to grow closer to the machine god. They believe that a machine has a spirit, and so they have holy oil to anoint tech with, and they pray to the machine god to bless their creations. They also believe the Emperor to be the Omnissiah, which may or may not be true, and to be an agent of the machine god, which often leads to some tense situations with other Imperial followers. This combination of tech and religious devotion is a really cool aesthetic, and their playstyle is one of the most nuanced and complicated in the game, with them having a lot of rules and buffs that can make even simple units be big problems for their enemies. Whatever you do, though, don't get captured by them, as they make big use of servitors and servo skulls, and yeah, it's not a very nice fate. Their models are some of the most complex and impressive in the game, and they have a really good range with foot soldiers, aircraft, and ground vehicles. Imperial Knights. The Knight Houses of the Imperium are a proud, noble people that long ago settled worlds using their massive Titan engines. These knights are monstrous walking cities that can stomp, slash, or burn their way through almost anything. Their pilots become one with them, with the machine itself often taking on the personalities of its past pilots. Should you want to become a Knight pilot, you will need the will to wrestle the machine's spirit and become symbiotic with it in order for the controls to obey you. The Knight's playstyle has a large focus on devastating firepower coming from very few sources, with smaller units also being able to secure objectives. The Knights are also able to be allied into other Imperial armies, meaning that if you make an army but want to throw a Knight into it, you totally can, allowing these engines of destruction to accompany your existing force on the tabletop. Their models are a great project when it comes to painting, and best of all, you don't need a bunch of them. But that's enough from the Imperium. What you say we get a little chaotic? Chaos Space Marines, the veterans of the Long War. Chaos Space Marines are Space Marines that have abandoned their oaths and instead sworn to destroy the Imperium. Allying themselves with the Dark Gods, these traitors once followed the War Master Horus in his Great Rebellion, but that didn't quite go the way he planned. These guys are ancient, with most of them being over 10,000 years old, and yet through all that time their hatred for the Corpse Emperor has only grown stronger, with them no longer caring for what happens to them, only that the Imperium burns. Led by Abaddon the Despoiler, the Black Legion pours from the warp using dark weaponry and chaotic mutations to destroy world after world, with the Dark Gods laughing all the while. Under the banner of Chaos Space Marines currently are the Black Legion, the Iron Warriors, Word Bearers, and the Night Lords, with them all being playable on the tabletop. Chaos Space Marines playstyle focuses on aggressive melee-based attacks with a good amount of psychic shenanigans thrown in there for good measure. It also allows you to ally with the Demons of Chaos, which gives you access to a whole nother range of models to play with, but I'll cover that a little more later. The Chaos Space Marine models themselves are all really nice, with a good amount of corrupted mutated Marines and really unique demon engines to paint. World Eaters, the Berserkers of Khorne. Once a legion brought low by their Primarch's mutilations, the World Eaters discovered that rock bottom has a basement when they fell to worship of Khorne the Blood God. Donned in red armor and wielding roaring chain axes, the World Eaters do just what their name suggests, as they spill blood and collect skulls on a planetary scale. Each Marine in their ranks has been fitted with devices called the Butcher's Nails, which only allow them to feel anger and hate and cause them pain if they aren't killing. This over time, combined with the effects of Khorne, has made them into bloodthirsty butchers who are unable to think and only kill. Their Primarch Angron was ascended to demonhood, and he is much the same way, being a force of destruction so devastating that he has felled whole worlds by himself. As the lore suggests, the World Eaters favor melee, I'd say more so than any other faction, as you charge in and just absolutely wreck whatever's in front of you. You also get access to Demons of Khorne, allowing you to ally mighty bloodthirsters and bloodletters and the like. 40k has a lot of strategy in it, but the World Eaters are about as unga-bunga beatdown as you can get. Their model range is also really good, with some really nice detailed armor and some really cool centerpiece models. The Thousand Sons, the Sorcerers of Tzeentch. The Thousand Sons were once noble warriors obsessed with knowledge and learning. Their gene seed was, however, tainted, which caused most of their ranks to mutate into horrible creatures. They were preyed upon by Tzeentch, god of trickery and sorcery, and they soon fell under his power. In an attempt to cure their ailment, one among their ranks attempted a spell which resulted in most of them being turned to dust within their armor to act only as mindless automata. Their Primarch, Magnus the Red, has ascended to demonhood and has become one of the most powerful sorcerers in the galaxy, with his sons that kept their bodies constantly seeking a way to free themselves from their patron god. As you can probably tell by their lore, the Thousand Sons make heavy use of psychic attacks with much less focus on physicality than most armies. You also get access to Tzeentch demons, which look absolutely beautiful and are psychic beasts on the tabletop. Their model range is one of the best in the game, with the Rubric Marines absolutely doing too much with their trim, and Magnus being one of the nicest centerpiece models in the game. Death Guard, the Rot Lords of Nurgle. The Death Guard are bloated bastions of disease and filth, but they weren't always like that. They were once hardy warriors that were able to withstand punishment like no other, but found themselves trapped with their Primarch Mortarion being forced to pledge him and his legion to Nurgle, god of decay and disease. Life and death are no longer binary states to the Death Guard, but rather a sliding scale, as their bloated, pus-filled carcasses decay within their rotting armor, and those truly blessed among them have their bodies become living hives of rot flies as they roll onward, spreading the love of Nurgle on a galactic scale, twisting planets into disgusting plague worlds and corrupting ranks of innocents into diseased poxwalkers. Mortarion has ascended to demonhood, with him becoming a winged titan of defense and disease. The Death Guard's playstyle has a large focus on tankiness as they are able to take a hit and keep on trucking. They won't get where they're going fast, but they will be able to handle the punishment until they arrive and slay those that oppose them. As with all the Traitor Space Marines, if you play Death Guard, you get access to demons, this time of Nurgle, including the friendly beasts of Nurgle and the massive monstrosities that are the Great Unclean Ones. The Death Guard models are gross in a really good way, with them looking exactly like what they are, bloated, decaying suits of armor, and of course Mortarion's really nice looking. Emperor's Children, the depraved of Slaanesh. The Emperor's Children were once one of the most revered legions, with them even being permitted to bear the Emperor's Aquila and his name. They sought perfection in all things, leading to them having some of the greatest warriors in the Imperium. But thanks to their pride, they soon found themselves bowing to the Prince of Pleasure, Slaanesh, god of perfection and debauchery. Now they are drug-fueled, self-mutilated monsters, barely resembling the men that they used to be. Their cruelty knows no bounds, with them taking slaves to create drugs from and to torture and other things that I can't say on YouTube. They are pleasure seekers in the worst ways possible, with them doing whatever it takes to find that next high. Their mutilations are in search of perfection, but they also serve a purpose, with some having blades grafted into their skin and others having their vocal cords altered to be able to use sound as a weapon. Their Primarch Fulgrim was a master duelist, with his ascension to demonhood only enhancing his natural abilities. He's become a snake-like demon that prefers to stay on his pleasure planets doing stuff that we probably don't want to know about rather than battling. Their playstyle features swift attacks, with them using their speed and precision to overcome their relatively low toughness. With the Emperor's Children, you also get access to demons of Slaanesh, letting you ally with the very avatars of debauchery themselves. Their models have a really unique, chaotic look to them with bright colors and mutations, and Fulgrim himself is a super nice centerpiece model. Chaos Knights. Many Knight houses have fought alongside the Imperium, but not all have remained faithful. Many have fallen to the corruption of chaos, with their once well-maintained machines becoming possessed by demons and growing mutations, with their pilots becoming sealed within them as they are driven mad by demons speaking into their minds for eternity. Their playstyle is much the same as Imperial Knights, but with a couple extra buffs and shenanigans thrown in for good measure. As with the Imperial Knights, the Chaos Knight models are also super cool and are a great painting project if that's what you're looking for. Chaos Demons, the forces of chaos made manifest. The Chaos Gods are ancient entities that, while being extremely powerful, they are unable to fully manifest physically as they lack bodies. They have overcome this limitation by pouring bits and pieces of themselves into vessels known as Chaos Demons, which pour forth from the warp, eager to fulfill their creator's desires. The power of demons vary heavily depending on which god they hail from. There is the martial strength and brutality of Khorne, the sorcery of Tzeentch, the putrid toughness of Nurgle, and the swift allure of Slaanesh. Each demon has its pros and cons, but all are able to corrupt mortals and bring them down as slaves to their dark masters. The playstyle of demons is kinda odd, honestly. Their army structure is kind of up in the air right now, but the demons themselves obviously share the traits of their gods, as I said earlier. You are also able to gather demons from all four Chaos Gods together, giving you the strength of all four gods simultaneously. The models themselves are absolutely gorgeous, with all of them being super nice sculpts, and they seem really fun to paint as well. So those are all the Chaos offerings, so how about we head over to the Xenos of the setting and see what they're all about. Aeldari. Once a great species, long ago the Eldar ruled the galaxy and battled with the gods themselves. They were warriors without rival, with their psychic might being unmatched by any. Stars died and planets crumbled at their command, and for millions of years they ruled without a care. But over time, the boredom of reality became too much, and they began indulging in whatever they desired. This indulgence soon became debauchery on a galactic scale until they birthed a new god. Slaanesh was created by the Eldar's indulgence, and immediately she devoured most of their race. Those that managed to get away now live aboard massive craft worlds and seek to escape from the god as she lays claim to every Eldar soul. Their psychic might has been weakened as they are no longer able to use it to its fullest potential lest they draw the gaze of their dark creation. They are a broken, scattered race seeking any way out of the fate that they know awaits them as they watch younger races take over the galaxy that once belonged to them. The Eldar's playstyle has a large focus on hit and run and psychic attacks as they are effectively glass cannons that can hand out strong hits but can't really take too many of them. Their models are also really unique as they are less bulky than most, and they have some really neat vehicles and Titan models as well. Drukari. Where many Eldar took the route of running and hiding from Slaanesh, the Drukari found another way to handle her. They found that if they caused enough pain and suffering to others, they could ward off the Dark God's gaze. This has been their main method of survival for millennia as they set out and raid worlds for victims to bring back to their dark homeworld of Kamara. To be captured by the Drukari, or Dark Eldar as they are also called, is one of the worst fates in the setting, as they will torture you and those you love relentlessly, all the while loading you with drugs to keep you conscious and aware, until you both have served your purpose, at which point they will mold you into a still living, still suffering item or trophy to serve their purposes for eternity. The Drukari's playstyle is essentially the same as the Eldari's, but with a little more focus on firepower. As with the Eldar, their models are less bulky than most, but they also have a lot of really neat, gross-looking lab project models that really drive home that these are not a nice group to be around. Tyranids. The ever-approaching menace to the galaxy, the Tyranids are a hive mind of billions upon billions of creatures that consume all forms of biomass to reproduce. Hailing from the darkness beyond the galaxy and controlled by a very powerful entity called the Hive Mind, hive fleets of Tyranids will approach planets and descend with their forces, consuming anyone they come in contact with. They fight with biological weapons that fire worms that burrow into their victim's skin or spit acid, melting them into goo. After the planet is conquered, all biomass is rounded up into pools of biological matter, which is consumed by the Hive Fleet for reproduction material. The world itself is then consumed, with the planet's oceans and atmosphere being sucked away until all that remains is a lump of useless material devoid of life. The Hive Fleet then moves on to the next world, hungering all the while. Should you try to use their own nature against them and infect them with a disease, the Tyranids are able to adapt in real time, becoming resistant to whatever was killing them before. They are nigh perfect organisms, and the worst part is that the galaxy may be surrounded by them. With us currently not being aware of where the Tyranids came from, it's totally possible that there are countless more hive fleets approaching ever closer as the Great Devourer prepares to consume the whole galaxy. The Tyranids playstyle has a lot of variety, with the different bioforms having many different specialties like melee, shooting, and even psychic. Their models are also super cool, with them really nailing the biological weapon feel of their lore, and they also have a really wide range, so you won't get bored picking them up. Gene Stealer Cults. A servant of the Tyranid hive mind, the Gene Stealer will descend onto a hive world and infect people with its kiss. This kiss causes its victims to come under the hive mind's control and begin to mutate. The person's descendants will be Tyranid hybrids and under the hive mind's control, and over generations, the Gene Stealer will corrupt a world until it is ready to be taken, at which point it will send a signal to a hive fleet to come get their supper. The Gene Stealer's descendants will then overthrow the planet's security and will sing songs of praise as the hive fleet descends to consume its willing offerings. The Gene Stealer cults are unique as they can turn a world with or without war, and for all we know, most of the galaxy's hive worlds could be infected and just haven't been activated yet. The Gene Stealer cults are a difficult army to play as they hit like trucks but aren't durable at all and depend on good positioning and strategy. Their models are some of the most detailed in the game, with many saying that they are the hardest army to paint because of it. They also have some really cool vehicles, with them all having a really strong, cobbled together miner theme going on. Orks. Orks are one of the most unique groups in the setting because they don't fight for anything. Every other group has goals that they want to accomplish, but the Orks, they just love to fight. These green-skinned murder machines are just in it for the love of the game, and they are actually one of the most prolific threats in the galaxy. There are a lot of Orks in the galaxy, more than almost any other group. They have a subtle psychic ability which makes anything that they believe become reality, so for instance, they believe that the color red makes things go faster, and so red cars move faster when an Orc's driving it. They often are used as comic relief, and for good reason, they are really funny, but facing these guys on the battlefield is truly a terrifying thought. They follow strength, which typically means that whoever is the biggest orc on the battlefield becomes the new boss. Their vehicles and weapons are cobbled together scrap heaps that should in no way work, but they somehow do, and that's reflected in their models. The orc range is one of the most unique in the game, with each one being immediately recognizable as an orc model. Their playstyle has a big focus on melee, but they do still have a lot of variety in how you can play them with a lot of shooty stuff. Leagues of Votann. The Leagues of Votann are an ancient race hailing from humanity's distant past. Long ago, they set out to mine among the stars and they just never came back. Over generations of cloning and adaptation, they became denser to deal with their surroundings, all the while their shipborne AI called the Votann learned and cataloged and eventually became sentient. Now the kin, as they call themselves, are full-on space dwarves, with the Votann being their only link to their past and being heavily revered by them for it. After millennia of being awake, however, the Votann are beginning to deteriorate, calling the future of the leagues into question. But still, they move forward, establishing trade lines with other races and defending their homes at all costs. To fight the kin is like trying to fight a mountain. With each blow you land, they settle further into their positions until there's nothing you can do but flee. But should you be polite and reasonable with them, they will most likely give you the same courtesy. But whatever you do, don't get on their bad side, for when the leagues have a grudge, it will be quashed, which usually means squashing whoever it's towards. As in lore, the league's playstyle has a large focus on durability, with them taking hits all the while laying out fire from various positions, and they also have some pretty good melee. Their model range is super cool, with a lot of lunar armor and mining based weapons and some really unique vehicles as well. Tau. Among the stars, there are a lot of people trying to kill each other for various reasons. So what if you decide to go against the grain and try to work together with others? Well, that's what the Tau Empire is trying to do, with them taking in various alien races in efforts to all work towards what they call the greater good. The Tau are the youngest race currently in play, and so they are a little naive and often assume that people are better than they actually are. This leads to them sometimes being taken advantage of, but they figure it all out in the end. All this is not to say that the Tau are pacifists, though, far from it. They have some of the most advanced weaponry in the setting, with a lot of it rivaling or even beating the Imperiums. They utilize mech suits and railguns a lot, leading them to have a much more traditional sci-fi look and feel to them. As far as playstyle goes, the Tau are the shooting army, with them having amazing gun stats and pretty abysmal melee stats, so if you play them, keep your distance. Their model range is super dope looking, with a lot of awesome mechs and ships, and some really clean looking infantry as well. Necrons. The oldest faction in the setting, the Necrons were a race that battled alongside and against the gods. Long ago, they gave up their flesh and souls and took on bodies of living metal to become immortal. Many have since regretted this choice and seek to return to their bodies, which who knows how that'll go for them. For millions of years, they slept on massive tomb worlds and just recently have begun waking up and are setting about reclaiming the worlds that the upstart races in the galaxy believe to be theirs. They battle with tech that is able to disassemble you on the atomic level, and a lot of them are almost unkillable due to being able to upload their minds to other bodies and just keep on fighting. To fight the Necrons is to fight a force that has no patience for your petty cause. They earned ownership of this galaxy a long time ago, and you are simply a pest that must be exterminated. Their playstyle has a big focus on almost robotic levels of methodical accuracy in both shooting and melee, with them marching forward, cutting down anyone, and controlling objectives as they go. Their model range is awesome, with their aesthetic of undead kind of Egyptian robots with awesome weapons and vehicles. And that's all the factions currently playable in 40k. I hope this was helpful to new players and entertaining to old ones, and so if you want to learn more details about any of these guys, I've made videos covering a lot of them in the past, and I even ranked all of them, so be sure to go check out my channel for all that. Remember that this was just a light introduction to the factions, and that there is still plenty left to learn, so find the one that sparked your interest and go find out more about them. But anyway, thanks for watching, y'all. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let me know if you have any more questions I can help out with in the comments. Be sure to check out my community tab where I run polls and post memes from time to time, and with all that said, y'all have a great day, and I'll see y'all later.